So with Agent Peggy Carter receiving her own TV show in the near future, I figured it'd be a good idea to do a video about Peggy Carter. But because her publication history is not very extensive, I thought it'd be a good idea to really kind of beef up this video and to add some meat and potatoes to it by comparing and contrasting Peggy Carter from the comic books to Peggy Carter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So Peggy Carter is first presented to us in Captain America Comics issue number 1 in 1941. And what's really kind of interesting here, and one thing I would like for you all to take particular note of, is that the Peggy Carter character as she's presented to us in Marvel Comics is in a lot of ways vastly different than the character and the way that she's presented to us in Captain America the First Avenger. When Peggy Carter is first introduced to us in Marvel Comics, she's simply referred to as X-13. And this is one of the interesting kind of ways that Marvel has sort of, I wouldn't go as far as to say revamped her character, but kind of made an adjustment in terms of how she's presented to us. In the comics, she meets a group of individuals who are heading to the location or to the experimental area where the super soldier formula is going to be commenced on Steve Rogers. And we see that she has undertaken the guise of an old woman and greets the individuals. And once they pass the test, so to speak, to prove that they are in fact supposed to be there, she unguises herself and we see that she's a young woman. And this is actually the last time that we will ever see Peggy Carter in the Captain America original comics. She actually won't pop up again until Tales of Suspense issue number 64. And again, we don't really know that she's Peggy Carter. We don't know what her name is. She's simply referred to as Agent 13. Now, ultimately, we're given context to the character, although again, we're not given her name in Tales of Suspense issue number 77, I believe. And what we see here is that Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter are romantically involved with each other. And again, I think this was an extremely intelligent thing on behalf of Marvel, because we don't really know how it was that they became romantically involved. We really kind of have this dead space between the time that we saw her in Tales of Suspense issue number 64 and Tales of Suspense issue number 77. And we don't exactly know how much time took place between these two comics. Now, in terms of her actual full-on appearance, in terms of her appearing in a modern day, so to speak, this actually doesn't happen until Captain America issue number 161 and 162. And ultimately, it's actually, we see her as who she is, and we see her identified as Peggy Carter in Captain America issue number 162. And what we learn is that in the flashback of Tales of Suspense issue number 77, that when she and Steve Rogers were romantically involved, that they had been separated. Steve Rogers had been called away on a mission. And while he was away on this mission, Peggy Carter was kidnapped by the Gestapo, and during a liberation of the camp in which she was being held, she was exposed to a violent explosion which caused amnesia. And so between Tales of Suspense issue number 77 and Tales of Suspense issue number 162, her character is really just kind of trying to figure things out and really kind of trying to understand what her place is. Over time, her memory slowly kind of begins to come back in bits and pieces, and she is aware of who Steve Rogers is, but she is told that he was killed in 1945. As a result, she really kind of shuts down, and she kind of de-evolves to the process of wearing black all the time, where she's constantly mourning. Now, what we see towards the end, and actually at the end of Captain America issue number 162, is that she's reunited with Steve Rogers, and the two of them escape the base in which she was being held. Now, we ultimately see that Peggy Carter's character is killed, or she dies, in Captain America Volume 6, issue number 1. And this is really kind of a big thing here, because this really kind of, I guess, places Captain America in a place where he moves from the past and into the present more so than he ever had before. And the reason why was because Peggy Carter was really kind of the last tie that held him to the past, that held him to the original Captain America comics, it held him to the World War II era of his life. And with her passing, he was now able to really kind of move forward into the present and become a part of the present and walk away from his past life. So Peggy Carter doesn't really have any abilities for the most part. She is your average, normal human being. For the most part, she has some spy training. She has some military training as an American that fought with French forces in World War II. But aside from that, there really isn't much to her. I mean, she knows how to shoot, she knows how to use guns, she's pretty accurate, but there really isn't a whole lot of her in terms of her overall prowess and her capabilities. Of course, she's agile and she has great hand-to-hand combat skills, but again, she is your garden variety average person. So the way that Marvel has presented Peggy Carter to us in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think, has been nothing short of spectacular. And the reason why is because I think there's this kind of belief that exists out there that unless a female character in Marvel Comics has superpowers, that she's of no real use to anyone aside from being some kind of an emotional support. And we see this playing out with various characters in Marvel Comics, but the way that we've seen her portrayed, the way that we've seen Peggy Carter portrayed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe really kind of defies this logic. And it presents to us this idea that just because a woman has no superpowers does not mean that she has to be relegated to the point of being a love interest. With Peggy Carter, despite the fact that we saw her at the end of Captain America the First Avenger and then pick back up with her with Captain America the Winter Soldier, we don't know what really went on with her life, but we do know that she was a founding member of S.H.I.E.L.D., and this really kind of lends credence to the fact that she is a very important character in terms of the evolution of intelligence gathering within the United States and the world as a whole, and it makes her a very intelligent and important person. And this is what I really like about this. This is what I really enjoy about Marvel really kind of including her character. In addition, with regards to her having a TV show, this offers a lot more stretching room and a lot more movement for Marvel to really kind of expand on her character more so than they could with a film. Because if Marvel came along and created a 2-hour or 2.5-hour film based on Agent Carter, they would have to essentially cover everything that went on with her life between the time that Captain America was presumed dead and the time that he met back up with her again at the end of the Winter Soldier over that 2.5-hour time period. And it would be very constrained and it would be very, very rushed simply because of the actions and the situations that she got involved in terms of being a founding member of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so with the TV show, we're going to see a lot more exposure. We're going to see her grow a lot more. And I'm really hoping that Marvel continues this trend of keeping her as a character that goes beyond simply being an individual, a woman who was in love with Steve Rogers, supposedly saw him die, never got over it, then developed Alzheimer's and died. I'm really hoping they kind of expand on it and make her a very pivotal character and make her a very important character and really add a lot of meat and potatoes to what it is that she has to offer. Now, in terms of Haley Atwell actually playing the role of Peggy Carter, I think she's done a fantastic job. Now, Marvel has made some changes here and there. They made her British fighting alongside Americans as opposed to an American fighting alongside the French. But Haley Atwell is gorgeous and she is beautiful. And I don't care if she was sitting in a room watching paint peel for 2.5 hours. I would sit in that theater and watch that movie to the bitter end just because of the fact that she is beautiful to look at. So with her kind of portraying this character and really kind of acting this character in such a way, I think that she's done a fantastic job by taking the element of Peggy Carter and taking the role that was given to her and really kind of, again, elevating her to a more important figure and elevating her beyond the realm of simply being relegated to a love interest of Steve Rogers. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.